FM 94, The Dark. JC hanging out with you, and yes, it is that time. Time to learn about another band we play here on The Dark every night, and right now on the line, I got Austin Carlisle. He's the lead singer of the band of Mice and Men. And Austin, I heard you're down south in El Paso. How's it going down there today?
I am. It's good. It's a warm day in Texas. I'm on a roof on a pool. I'm overlooking Mexico right now. So.
And you got a lot of angry fans back here in Minnesota because we're digging out from about a foot of snow. Okay, so.
Oh yeah, I heard.
Hey Austin, we want to learn a little bit more about the band of Mice and Men, and I guess first of all, I want to talk about the history of the band. How did this band all come about, Austin?
Well, the band actually started on a thing called MySpace. Back when that was still relevant, and I started the band on MySpace, and I got signed without even having kind of band members or an idea of what I was doing. So I pulled the whole "I'm going to live the American dream" tour, or live the American dream card, and moved out to Southern California to find a band. And then 4 years later, here we are on tour. It was a rough start, but we with member changes and things like that, but we're at our lineup what we're happy with now, and we feel like we just put out our first record. So, driving all the way from Ohio all the way to Los Angeles ended up being pretty worth it.
I was going to say, and you kind of had a rough start and had some rocky roads here. You even had some health issues. Am I correct on that, Austin?
Yeah, I've dealt with health issues my entire life, but about 2 years into the career of the band, which was about two and a half years ago now, I actually had to have open heart surgery. So I was out of the band for a little while. They kept touring for a little bit, but then once I got better, I got right back on the road.
What is that like to have heart surgery and then be the kind of lead singer that you are, to be throwing out some pretty heavy tunes and screaming a lot?
I don't know. It takes a lot out of me, but it's something that I'm passionate about, and I talk really closely with my cardiologist, my cardiac surgeon, and they know what I do, and I do all the tests, and I go back and I'm in the hospital more than I'd like to be, but I know I know that I do it right, and and I don't drink very much, so I keep up my health as best I can, and so kind of my day kind of revolves around that hour on stage, and other than that, I'm pretty shot.
I gotta believe you got to be in shape, especially when you're going out on tour on these long tours that you do, don't you?
Oh yeah. I mean, we'll play 5 to 6 shows a week. Our management, our booking agent, they don't know how to spell days off. So we just kind of we play and we play and we play and we play and we keep going, and it's a good thing. We've been on the road since we've been a band, and that's something that's really important to us. So there's no complaining about it, but the reality is sometimes it does take a lot out of you, and some days the days off like how I have one right now are very much needed.
Hey, we're talking with Austin Carlisle. He's lead singer of the band of Mice and Men. And speaking of the name of Mice and Men, obviously I know it's the book. How did it all come about to make it a band name?
Well, to be perfectly honest, it's required reading for most high schools in America. and judging on how most high schools are, most kids, they go on Google and they Google the book and the Spark Notes and kind of go that way around it. I don't know many people that read anymore.
I think I read the Cliff Notes of the book, if I remember right.
Yeah, there you go. Well, even when I was in high school, I'd read the book, but then I'd go, the night before, I'd read the Spark Notes and refresh my memory. And, I was like, oh, well, if I name a band that's named after a book, when people go to Google what the book was about, they'll see that there's a band. And it was just always a book that I really liked in high school. And honestly, I couldn't really think of anything else. So I said, well, we'll name it Mice and Men and hope the music backs it up. So,
you mentioned high school and that, and let's talk about your influences of music. Where did you get kind of your influence of music to figure out how you write this music today and put these albums together? I know you got your third album out, but where did that influence come from?
Definitely in high school. I mean, I still, some of my favorite things I listened to are what I listened to in high school. And, when I was sophomore and junior, freshman, I was first starting to get into, Marilyn Manson and Korn and Linkin Park and Pantera even heavier bands like that. And it was just stuff that I had never really discovered before. And listening to that in high school, I was such a, you're very impressionable when you're in those ages. And, I listened to that stuff, and that's what people told me that I should be listening to, and I did. And, I've never heard anything this angry, and, I would listen to it, and it kind of took off from there, and it got me from the very beginning.
We're talking with Austin Carlisle, the lead singer of the band of Mice and Men. You know, I was doing a little research Facebook-wise, and boy, you got a strong social media following, don't you? 1.5 million likes. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's what's funny about that is it's not even my Facebook.
Even better then.
Yeah, that Facebook is a fake. So I don't know. I mean, I guess that's pretty cool for whoever's running it.
So then let's get what's the real Facebook then for you guys?
I don't even have a Facebook. I tried to have one for a bit, and it just wasn't good. It wasn't good. I couldn't decipher who was family, who was friends, who was what, where was what. And all of a sudden, I had my full inbox thing was full, and I couldn't get any more friends or whatever. I don't know how to work half that crap. So I just said, you know what? I just won't have one. But I guess there's a fake one now.
You know,
because that's how I met Miss California. Was she thought she would give me a call to let me know that my Facebook was in a relationship with her fake Facebook account. But I had to let her know that it was a fake me too, so not to flatter herself.
Oh, you gotta love social media, don't you? And you know, one thing about social media, do you do a lot of social media? Obviously, it doesn't sound like you do. Then how do you get to known out there? Just performing on your tours and getting in front of people?
I have Instagram and I have Twitter. I don't really use them as much as I guess that I should, but I'm just kind of over it. You know, things on the internet. I think people. It's 2014, and I don't think people know how to put their phones down and go out and live a real life and go out and have fun. And you know, people base so much of their knowledge and so much of their entire existence off of what's on the internet and what happens on the internet. And you know, from cyberbullying to this to all this stuff. And it's like, well, if the problem is somewhere on the internet, then get the frick off the internet. It's not that hard of a problem. And that's something with me. I find myself reading stuff or getting down on myself because, you know, some person in the middle of Minnesota doesn't like my band, and they think that I'm just, you know, the ugliest, most worthless musician in the world, and they think they should tell me. And, you know, sometimes it's just, you know, you read that stuff and you laugh to yourself and you get over it. But me, I just don't read it. So I just do me, and I focus on the band and our career and where we're going. And if I know that I have that in line, and if I know I have my band in line, and you know, our career path is straight, then it doesn't matter what people have to say about it on the internet.
Best statement I've ever, I think, have heard in anybody doing an interview in the last couple of years. Put down the damn phone, and I totally agree with that, man. Because today's society is being ruined by these phones.
Yeah. Nobody obtains knowledge. You go to Google when you have a question, and you look up a question, you find the answer, you use the answer, but you don't obtain that knowledge. You know, I fall victim to it all the time, and I'll try to go, okay, what was that word? I'll look it up. I'll remember it. I'll look up why I didn't know it, and I'll try to remember it instead of just, okay, there's the answer. I don't know. Intelligence is a fleeting thing nowadays, I feel like.
Hey, you just released your latest album, Restoring Force, which came out in January. Doing very well, and even have a song now, at least in the active rock side of things, that is in the top 30. Your latest release, Would You Still Be There? Talk about that album and that song in particular.
Yeah, Restoring Force it feels like very much a first record for us. You know, this is our first record with this lineup that we have, and it's the lineup that we have, you know, we want in the future, and that's who we're going to have in the future. And you know, the album was a lot different for us. We kind of took a leap of faith and said, you know, we're just going to make a record that we want. We're going to make a record that we want to hear, that we want to listen to, and that we know, you know, our fans will like because of the material that it's about. And, you know, we did, and you know, we did that song, Would You Still Be There? That's our first radio single, and, you know, that sounds a little bit different than a lot of the stuff we've put out before, but we knew because of the lyrical content, because of the lyrical content of the whole album, we knew our fans would accept it, so we knew that, you know, having a radio single wouldn't be a bad thing, and you know, so far our fans have been more than welcome to it, and you know, they go on the radio and they listen to it, and they support us being on the radio. They don't go, oh, you're on the radio, you're sellouts, or you're this or that, or you know, how the average person would kind of take that, because you know, we've never been on the radio before. We've made it to this point in our careers with no radio, no TV, no MTV, no Fuse, no kind of anything besides ourselves. So it's nice to have radio stations that believe in us and care enough about us to put that song on the radio, and you know, we're really excited from all the feedback we've had from it.
Well, I tell you what, it's a great song. We've been spinning it for weeks here, and you know, I'm glad to hear that you got some stuff out for radio, because obviously most of that stuff you've never done for radio, and I'm assuming now you're going to build a new fan base along with your old fan base. Somehow you're going to merge them together here, and you're going to become even bigger. Would you agree with that, Austin?
Yeah, that's absolutely what I want to do. I mean, I think that with our fan base, and they're we have very dedicated fans, and I know that we can accomplish a lot of things with them. And then, having music on the radio and having music for all these new listeners to hear, and all these people from other places we've never been, and places that we might not even expect, having those listeners, and that's really important to us. And we want to be a band that can hold our fan base and have that following, but then branch out and still make music that the rest of the world is interested in hearing. And I really think that that's what Mice and Men is on the way to doing with this album, and especially with our next record. It's already in our heads.
I was just going to say, we're talking with Austin Carline of Mice and Men. You're finishing up a tour here in the next week or two, and then I see you're going overseas for a while. How many trips have you made overseas, and what are the fans like overseas compared to here in the 48 states?
It's pretty gnarly. We're going back over to the UK and Europe for I believe it's our third headliner there. And both headliners before, we sold out all the shows. This one, we sold out even just pre-sale tickets, so we're excited to go. And it's really cool to go into a room of confidence knowing that, okay, it's going to be a full room no matter what. And it's going to be packed, and we just go and we just get to play our record. And, this will be the first time that we're playing a lot of songs from Restoring Force. And we try to build our base and our homes in every country like that. We have a following in Australia, and we keep that, and same with Japan and UK and Europe. And we try to build a Mice and Men as a band and as a musical career in all those different countries, because each country has something different to offer. And frankly, we love going to all the other countries. So, I love America, and it's obviously home to me, but I love going to Australia and New Zealand and Japan. And, we look forward to going overseas any chance we get, just to spread our music.
And obviously, I know you've done a lot of touring, and one question I always like to ask every interviewer when I do this is, okay, you are obviously in charge of a 3-bill night of Mice and Men, obviously, is one of the bands playing. There's 2 other bands that are going to be playing with you on that stage that night. Who would you want those bands to be? They could be bands that are still in existence, bands that are no longer in existence, people that are no longer alive. Who would those 2 other bands or individuals be that would play with of Mice and Men that night?
Just on a perfect night?
On a perfect night, your dream night, you and 2 other bands.
I would say Frank Sinatra and Linkin Park.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Frank Sinatra was one of my favorites, and he's a classic. And then Linkin Park is, you can't beat Hybrid Theory and Meteora. So and their new stuff is pretty good too.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to play with Linkin Park at all?
I haven't. I haven't. I've actually gotten to be kind of close with Mike recently. He did a lot of kind of, I guess you could say, mentoring with me when it came to our record and from the demos and stuff. And
right.
And just talking with him and getting information from him and seeing what to do and what not to do. And it's cool to have that kind of resource and that kind of person to go, hey man, this is going on. What should I do? It's kind of cool to look for him to that. And I definitely think that there will be a Linkin Park or Mice and Men tour in the future. There better be.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you'd have a lot of people going there, not just to see Linkin Park, but to see Mice and Men, because it looks like you guys have created a great following. And I guess what I want to know now is, how do people find out more about the band of Mice and Men? Where can they go find out?
I know we have a real Facebook, and that's facebook.com/ofmice, and then our Instagram and our Twitter as well, which is OM and then ANDM. So our Twitter, our Instagram accounts, our Facebook, but our number one would also be ofmiceandmenofficial.com, and that's where we have our merch and we have our tour dates. You can buy the record there. You can listen to the record there. You can see our new music video for Bones Exposed there, and that's ofmiceandmenofficial.com.
I appreciate it, Austin. Get some rest here and get ready for the rest of your tour here and overseas in the next month, too. A lot of fun talking to you. And by the way, we're going to play your new song coming up in just a moment, okay?
Rock and roll. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Once again, that's the lead singer of the band of Mice and Men. That is Austin Carlisle. You want to hear his latest song? Here it is right now. It's called Would You Still Be There? It's on The Dark on FM 94.